Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And what is up, you guys? Welcome to the stream as the New York Mets open their series with the St. Louis Cardinals with a 9-3 victory. They bounced back after losing their first home series at Citi Field to the Diamondbacks this week with a road win at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, one where it looked a little scary, a little ugly in the beginning, but in the end, the Mets bats come through. They get a little bit of help from the Cardinals defense, fortunately for them, but in the end, a win is a win as they improve to 22-11 on the season, back up over 500 by 11 games. Let's get into it, guys. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, be sure to subscribe. I do daily Mets content, pre-game streams, post-game streams, recaps, and everything in between every single day here on my channel. Give this video a like. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really goes a long way toward helping out. And you can also follow me on all my other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it now. All those links are down in the bio. But more importantly, guys, be sure to call into the show on my Discord right down here. You could just follow that link into the Discord. You'll be put into the waiting room, and I will take your calls to talk anything you want about the New York Mets. Today, though, we'd be talking about a very nice win for them as they bounce back after losing the final two of the series against the D-backs. They head right back out on the road to the Midwest to take on the Cardinals in this one, and they come out with a 9-3 victory. So let's get into it. First inning, Mets with a leadoff runner aboard. Francisco Lindor doing his thing as usual. Great numbers against Sonny Gray as he starts this game out with a base hit. Unfortunately, Juan Soto grounding into a 6-6-3 double play to end the threat there as Pete Alonso would strike out to finish out the inning. First inning, Clay Holmes takes the mound, gives up a hit, but really what was scaring me were some alarming trends from this Mets team that we kind of saw in the final two games of that Diamondback series, and that was kind of lack of attention to very small, minute details that maybe don't seem big in the moment but end up costing you. A base runner steals third on Clay Holmes before he even delivers to home plate on his pitch. He doesn't realize it, doesn't step off. Later on, a thrown ball from Francisco Alvarez down the third base line. Probably wouldn't have mattered because it was followed up with a hit that would have scored that runner anyway. But a couple of sloppy plays in the beginning from this team that got me a little worried about where this one was trending. But fortunately, the Mets able to get back in this one thanks to a 4-run fifth inning, trailing 3-2 at that point. Pete Alonso doing what he's been doing best all season long, and that is hit clutch home runs as he hits a 2-run bomb to knock in Juan Soto up out to left center field, his 8th home run of the season to put the Mets up and ahead 4-3. The Mets would get two more base runners on in that inning. Mark Vientos, who we know has really struggled with runners in scoring position this year, grounds into a tailor-made double play to the shortstop. The feed to first is perfect, and somehow Wilson Contreras just totally botches the catch. It pops right out of his glove. Brandon Nimmo, who was on second base on that play, always hustling. There's 3 things you can count on in this world, and that's death, taxes, and Brandon Nimmo never giving up on a play as he comes around to score on the play, and that opened up the floodgates for the Mets as they would cash in 4 runs in that inning, including another base knock to bring one in. And from there, it was all Mets the rest of the way. They get 2 more in the 7th. They get a solo home run from Brandon Nimmo, and they tack one on in the 9th, and this one becomes a laugher as the Mets, all they had to do was get the final couple outs of this one. They win 9-3. They get 17 hits in this game, and they really leave no doubt. So excellent performance from the Mets lineup. Yes, they got a little bit of help from the shoddy St. Louis defense in this one. It obviously gave them some opportunities, especially there in that 5th inning when Contreras couldn't complete the double play there. How he didn't catch that ball, I really don't know. I mean, that was right in his glove, and he just let it pop right out. And the Mets obviously take advantage of the extra out there. So that was excellent to see. But let's get into some of the individual performances. First of all, Pete Alonso. I mean, the dude has just been on fire since the word jump. He is having an MVP-like season so far this year. Gets an opposite field base hit in the early part of the game. Then with the Mets trailing 4-3, it was 3-2 at that point in the fifth inning, he knocks that home run in the center field to give them the lead. The guy has just been unstoppable so far this year, hitting .345. That OPS still at 1137. These are the numbers we were expecting to get out of Juan Soto, who, by the way, is quietly starting to heat up as well. But Pete Alonso is the MVP of the National League at this point. He was just named the National League Player of the Month for April. Well-deserved. Awesome achievement for him. Probably the first time he has gotten it, I would say, since his rookie year. I'd have to go back and look at the files, but really great for Pete Alonso. You know his confidence is booming at the plate right now, and it's going out on the field with him too. You know, he has been making some really slick plays at first base as well, which has been really fun to watch. So super happy about that for Pete Alonso. Great performance from him. Juan Soto, 2 more base hits today, both of those coming with 2 strikes, as Gary Cohen said on the SMY broadcast. That is the 5th straight game that Juan Soto has gotten a hit with 2 strikes. The dude is too good of a hitter to be held down for this long. He got his 2 home runs, first 2 at Citi Field as a New York Met yesterday, gets 2 base hits today, doesn't actually draw a walk, which is a shock. When you look at the box score, you almost can just automatically assume that Juan Soto got a walk in the game. Not today, but he does get 2 base hits to raise his season average up to 258. And by the way, that OPS, which was hovering around 790, it was pretty much below 800 a couple days ago, back up to over 830 now at this point. So really good sign from him. 1 for 5 for Lindor, okay. Also drew a walk. It is what it is. Not, the greatest performance from him, but it's Francisco Lindor. We're not going to hold that against him. What I was a little concerned about was Mark Vientos. Yes, he did actually get a base hit with runners in scoring position in this game. It was such a well-struck line drive to left field, though, that Nimmo had to hold at second. It made the bases loaded with nobody out. So you can't fault him for that, but it was the clutch moment in the 5th inning that was a little bit alarming. First and second, 1 out, and that's when that double play from Contreras was botched and allowed the Mets to continue that inning. But realistically, it should not have extended the inning. It should have been a 6-6 or 6-4-3 double play to end it. So concerning from Vientos still, who has the lowest batting average of any New York Met this year with runners in scoring position. It's around 124. It probably evened out, or I guess went up today, because he had a base hit that didn't score a run earlier in the game, and then that one, of course, will be scored as an error, so not a hit for him in that one. So that's a little alarming. I want to see Vientos come through in those situations because we know he can. He did it all of last year, all of last October in the playoffs. It's in there. I think he's pressing a little too much in those big spots. So I hope he can bear down a little bit, get back to himself, start to use the opposite field like Keith Hernandez loves to say. Good things happen when you do that. So the next young star, though, had a very nice day, and that was Francisco Alvarez. We've been waiting for a breakout game for Alvi. We know he had that home run against the Nationals last weekend, but pretty much ever since then, it's been a little bit lackluster from the Mets catcher. But today, comes out, couple opposite field base hits. He goes 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs in this game. First multi-RBI game of the year for Francisco Alvarez. Love to see that. He is pivotal to extending this lineup, making it 1 through 9 one of the best in baseball. If you get Francisco Alvarez to be even close to what we were hoping he would be when he was the #1 prospect in the game and the Mets called him up, this team could be one of the best offensive in all of baseball. Great performance from him, 3 for 5. Love to see it. Didn't love that throw he made down the third baseline on the stolen base that went into left field. That was a little alarming to see. That's one where you either got to have an on-the-money throw or you just eat it. Again, it didn't matter. A couple batters later, or the very same batter, they end up getting a base hit and scoring him anyway. So really, it's a moot point. But those were some of the small little things that I didn't love to see from this team that I was getting concerned about the first 4 innings. They were having a few mental mistakes. Clay Holmes not stepping off the rubber when there was a stolen base attempt. That throw from Alvarez, the double play hit into by Juan Soto. But Fortunately, it seems like the Mets all of a sudden got a wake-up call, and this is what we've seen this Mets team do, even dating back to last year. If you open the door for them, the Mets will kick it down. If you leave it just slightly ajar, the Mets are busting through like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, okay? They have a chance to do some really nice things if this offense, if this defense can just keep their heads on straight and play quality, fundamental baseball. And that's what they did for the most part in this game. They're fortunate that the Cardinals, on the other hand, don't seem like they have good fundies, as Hernandez also loves to say. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. What's your big takeaway from this game? Do you think it was the lineup doing their thing? Was it the Clay Holmes performance today, which we haven't even touched on, but we'll get to actually in a second here. Just want to remind you, give me a call on my Discord right down here. If you guys want to be a part of the show, I'll field your live calls. We could talk anything Mets that's on your mind. You could tell me what your big takeaway from this game is, what you're happiest about, what maybe you're concerned about. Although, hey, 9-3 win on a Friday night, not a whole lot to be too worried about at this moment. Let's just talk about Clay Holmes for a second. 6 innings pitched in this one, 3 earned runs on 8 hits. Early it didn't look like he was long for this game. He was working some tough at-bats, some long counts. The Cardinals were putting up some pretty decent at-bats against him. And then he, of course, takes that line drive off of his ankle. The last thing the Mets need right now is an injury to any of their pitchers. Okay, I know it's been the bullpen getting hurt lately, but we don't want to see any more pitchers getting hurt, period, even if Clay Holmes is a starter. Fortunately, he was able to stay in. At that moment, I was thinking, here we go again. Like, it's all going to just happen at once, isn't it? Some years that's just how it goes. Fortunately, he was able to stay in the game. Fine performance by him. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. That now marks the 32nd consecutive game, as in all 32 games this year, that a Mets starting pitcher has allowed 4 earned runs or less. I mean, you can't make that up. I mean, that is unbelievable. There was a stat that I referenced in my TikTok video and my YouTube short. You guys could check it out. It's a couple days ago now. The Mets are the only team since 1901 in the National League to start their first 29 games with their starting pitchers giving up 4 earned runs or less, and now they have extended that all the way out to 32 games with Holmes' performance today. So another fine job by him, and a good job of getting into the 6th inning despite having a somewhat high pitch count that deep into the game, because in the end, the Mets only have to use 2 relievers. Jose Butzo has 2 solid innings, pitches a really nice 7th, got into a little trouble in the 8th, let the first 2 runners aboard, but ended up getting out of that one unscathed. And then Ryan Stanek, you want to talk about putting him in a soft spot to let him get his confidence back. This was the spot. Great job, I think, by Carlos Mendoza. He had not pitched since Wednesday night. To let him get back in there tonight on at least a day and a half, 2 days rest, whatever you want to call it, and letting him just get those final 3 outs. He goes 1, 2, 3, and that one makes quick work of the Cardinals. It saves the bullpen for the rest of this week. We haven't used Edwin Diaz since the Nationals series. That must have been, I'd say, on Sunday, maybe Saturday. So he needs to get some work in now. At this point, he's pushing almost an entire week without pitching. But this now does give Mendoza the luxury of using Edwin Diaz tomorrow and potentially Sunday as well, or maybe for a multi-inning performance in one of these 2 games. So that's really great to know that he has that in his back pocket. And again, it all starts with Clay Holmes gutting out 6 innings in this one, even when he didn't have his best stuff, when his defense was kind of letting him down, when he kind of had that little mental gaffe there, letting that runner take off and steal second like they did before he started his delivery to the mound or to home plate. Overall, really solid job by Clay Holmes. He has done today what the Mets starting pitchers have done all year long, and that's give the Mets a chance to win ball games. It's always just dependent, hey, are the Mets bats going to come out and hit? And in the beginning, of course, it didn't look super promising, like I said. Soto grounding into that double play to basically end that rally in the 1st inning. And then they break through. And they had to take advantage of some Cardinals mistakes, some of their miscues in the field, who by the way, growing up, 30 years now on this earth, I've seen the Cardinals, many, many different variations of them, and they are usually one of the most fundamental, well-rounded baseball teams, but my goodness, this one may be the worst in that regard. Okay, I'm not saying this is the worst Cardinals team I've ever seen. That's yet to be determined yet. They are now 5 games under 500 at 14-19 after tonight's loss, but from a fundamental standpoint, defensively, how they do anything just is not the Cardinal way that I grew up watching and was tortured by as a New York Mets fan. So they seem like they got some issues. Nolan Arenado does not look interested in playing at all for this team. I mean, he looks like he wants out of town, the next ticket out of that airport. I mean, he wants to go, it seems like to me. But overall, really fun win for the Mets. Guys, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you guys joining. Like I said, be sure to join. You can call in on my Discord right here if you want to get in on the chat, and I could put you in and we could discuss anything you want to talk about regarding the Metsies here tonight. But I'm really happy with this win. Friday night, get that W, back on the horse after dropping the last 2 of the series against the Diamondbacks, which obviously had their frustrations. The Mets going 0 for 12 combined in those final 2 games tonight. Much better performance with runners on base for the most part, just 1 or 2 opportunities that were squandered. But when you score 9 runs, you can't harp on all those little things. I do want to see them tighten up a little bit defensively. I do want to see them tighten up a little bit in terms of their at-bats in that situational hitting. But for the most part, there's not a whole lot of things that you can complain about today. Not when you put up 9 runs, not when you get another quality start from your starting pitcher, and not when you only have to use 2 relievers for the final 3 innings and they go out there and throw up 0. So really happy about that. But guys, that I think will do it for this stream here tonight. I will have some more content tomorrow leading up to Mets versus Cardinals. We're going to have Tyler McGill on the mound, 40% strikeout rate this year. That's 3rd in the National League, taking on Eric Fetty. And of course, Pete Alonso, April Player of the Month in the National League, a 14-game on-base streak, that 347 average. He's got 3 homers and an 1133 OPS during that time, looking to continue his strong start to the season. So we will have all the pre-game coverage and a post-game live stream recap just like this one, where again, you can call in to the stream right through my Discord here. But in the meantime, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave this video a like for daily Mets content. And that's it for now. Until next time, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.